in just a moment. Actually, I think we're streaming live right now. So welcome everyone. My name is Sean Simons. Today we have Brian Tyler in the house and also Jack Wallace. We are the No Sugar Bros. Welcome to our new podcast. This is the episode 1, where we're actually going to be talking about going sugar-free as long as we can. Hopefully, we're going to try to go sugar-free for 30 days. That's what we're going to try to do. I've known Brian Tyler for almost 15 years, and Jack, about a week. So real quick, Brian, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and the whole reason why you want to go sugar-free now.
I live in the Tulsa area in Oklahoma. I have battled weight gain my whole life. I was a skinny kid up until about 6 or 7. My parents got divorced and my mother had an alcohol issue. So when I stayed with her in the summer, she basically just bought junk food, and I got real addicted eating ice cream and grilled cheese sandwiches and Cokes because that's what was in the house. I gained about 30 pounds one summer. I came back, my dad was furious. But ever since that experience, that summer where I ate basically junk the entire summer, I was a chubby kid after that, battled weight gain. I lost it briefly in my high school years playing football and my first couple of years in the military. After that, actually, that's how I got kicked out of the military. It was an honorable discharge, but I couldn't cut the weight program. I just couldn't do it because I didn't understand what was going on with me. I didn't understand how food worked. I didn't understand how detrimental and how addicted I was to sugar at the time. Proceeded to go from 180s in the military to almost 300 pounds at my heaviest. Ever since then, I have been over 200 pounds, except for one brief moment. I did vegan raw for 8 months, a very extreme diet of eating nothing but raw plants and fruits and some seeds and nuts and things like that. It was a very stringent diet. I got back down into the 180s for a brief time, but the difficulty of that diet just overcame me. I never really overcame the addiction. I traded one extreme for another. It wasn't balanced. Inevitably, I ended up gaining all the weight back. And ever since that timeline, I have been battling between about 210 and 260. I usually kind of float somewhere in the middle around 240. So that's where I'm stuck now. I always seem to go back to what medically is called the set point. And it just seems to be around my set point is about 240. Everything I do up or down seems to kind of pull me back to that place. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I hear you. We've been battling this for the longest time. Let's go ahead and go to Jack real quick. Jack, you've done keto for a while. You lost a bunch of weight. You kept it off. How's that going for you?
Yeah. So I kind of like Brian. Like I've always gone back and forth. I've definitely battled food addiction. I've battled a lot of other addictions too. Which I've been able to kind of keep under control for, the last 6 years. And yeah, one thing I realize is, when I put down other substances, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if I go to the grocery store, or the gas station, I always have to, I can't just do one of anything, it's 2 or 3 Gatorades, 2 or 3 cans of dip, or, whatever it may be. If it makes me feel good, I like it in excess. And I think that eating a bunch of sugar and eating a bunch of carbs and just processed foods really contributed to some depression I was going through. And last October, or October 1st, actually specifically last year, I kind of realized, I had this epiphany that I knew I needed to make some kind of change. So from about October 1st to Thanksgiving, I went 0 sugar at all, and basically did keto. I saw this like potato diet where you eat only potatoes online. So I did that for about 10 days, and that was good just to kind of. I'm really good with restriction, but I'm not good when you say you can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I always seem to do way too much of it. And so, yeah, tried that. And then from that, I went straight into, you know, keto, but pretty much just like a very heavy meat diet, you know, like I'd have some grains here and there, but, and I had quite a bit of success. I went from about 250 to um, probably right about 200 in those 2 months. So about 50 pounds in 2 months. And then I kind of went back and forth. Some of my old habits starting to get the best of me. I started to binge a little bit here and there. And then I got into some more kind of intense, like fasting, prolonged fasting, you know, 5 days for a few months, and ended up getting down to my lowest was about 175. And then slowly started to creep back up from there, from February, about beginning of February to kind of now. And then I'm creeped back up to around 205, 210. So I'm about, I think, 209 right now. So yeah, that's my starting point, and I'm sticking to it.
Tell us a little bit about that fasting that you were doing. How'd that work out?
Yeah, it worked out, you know, really good. I The one mistake that I made with that was um, through the start of the new year, to, you know, maybe late January when I started fasting, I wasn't fat adapted anymore from the keto because I had been going back and forth. Before that, I was, and that was a big mistake, which made it a lot harder because my body was still craving to fight off those sugar cravings and fight off those carb cravings. So it definitely made it a lot harder on myself. But um, from the second 5 day fast to the third day 5 day fast, it became a little bit easier. And it, like, you know, just like anything else, it made me feel good. And like kind of I chased that high, if you will. And so I'm trying to be more moderate now. Yeah, I'm not against prolonged fasting, but I'm trying to take a more balanced approach because, you know, just like whether it's sugar or alcohol or whatever it may be, or fasting, you know, if it makes me feel good, I tend to overindulge sometimes. So I'm trying to take a little more of a balanced approach, and I think that starting off with 30 days no sugar is a good start for me.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Sounds really good. And Brian, you've tried fasting in the past also. What happened with that? And were you fat adapted at the time?
Well, I want to say that I completely agree with him on having been fat adapted first. Sean and I have a friend in the UK, and we all three have gone into great lengths about keto fasting and regular diets. And one thing I noticed is when you're fully on sugar and carbs, I don't know anybody that can some people might be able to. Going into a fast is extremely difficult. That what they call the keto flu for me is really severe, especially eating heavy carbs. And that's one goal, doing all this stuff. I've tried 3 times going keto and or fasting, and the keto flu by the second day is so severe for me, I can't tolerate it. I get a massive headache. I did keto for, it was just I was in my 3rd day. I'm lucky for some reason, my liver produces ketones really fast. I got up to 1.8 within 2.5 days from almost nothing. And, but I tell you what, I got sicker than a dog. I physically threw up. It was just bile. But I don't know. Sean and I have decided that the keto flu is actually withdrawal symptoms. Yeah. Because sugar, there's so many scientific studies that are showing more and more that, I don't know if it's the white granular sugar we grew up with 30, 50 years ago. I think it's this weird scientific concoction of corn syrups that they're making now with chemicals and crap. And I think whatever they're doing behind the scenes, they're trying to mimic the structure of other addictive substances like cocaine and heroin, but it's worse. And it's very benign. It's very hidden in the food, and it just tastes like a sweet treat. But it's obviously that it's different when you drop this stuff on the ground. Ants and bugs don't eat it like back in the day when you dropped a sugary treat, ants went all over it. Nowadays, you drop it and they avoid it, and that's really
kind of
bizarre.
like McDonald's burgers.
And yeah, and things like that. They don't decay or decompose. The organic material you eat is supposed to if it's real, it gets eaten by nature and mold and everything else. And this crap we're eating now, nature doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Can't break it down. But anyway, back to your question, I have had a strong desire to fast and keto, but I always have really wicked symptoms. So I can handle about a 24-hour fast before I get a massive headache and I just can't handle it. So hopefully this 30-day no sugar approach will help me get there. I'll try to cut my carbs down a little bit too, maybe to coincide with that. Some of the processed carbs can kind of be as addictive and problematic as a lot of the sugar. So, and they so insidiously hide sugar in everything, things that you wouldn't think. There's more sugar per volume. There's more sugar in barbecue sauce than there is a Coca-Cola, I think. Or I may be exaggerating, but it's like crazy amounts of sugar in things like sauces that you would never guess. Some processed meats, they put sugar in it. It's weird, but they put that into everything because they know it's addictive. They want you to come back. So sugar and salt, that's the recipe for them.
Yeah, I don't think salt is all that bad, but that sugar, it seems like it's very addictive, which is why we're doing this podcast. Hopefully over the next year, we'll be able to have a bunch of people on here that can tell us more, maybe professionals that are in it that know more about this addiction can help us figure this out and maybe be able to break the habit, I don't think it's a habit, Ryan. I think it's an addiction, because we can walk away from broccoli, no problem. But if you give us a sugary treat, man, we want more. So I'm not sure about all this. A little bit about my background. I was in the military way back in the 80s, about 165 pounds. I'm currently about 265 pounds. So I really would like to lose 100 pounds. I did do the keto thing for about a year, and I was under 200 pounds, and I did really well for a year, except for last year. This time I decided to eat. I thought I was cured. I really did. I thought, well, I haven't had sugar for a year. I'm cured. So let's go ahead and eat some Halloween candy, right? Next thing I know, about a month later of just eating and eating, I started gaining weight. So I'm like, I'll try to taper it off a little bit. It's the holidays. It's no big deal. Well, then the COVID thing came, and since then I went from my under 200 pounds to 265 pounds. And it's so difficult right now to get off the sugar. So Brian said, hey, how about we try to do, go sugar free? We know what it is. Let's go ahead and do a podcast. Let's figure out a way of, maybe getting other people involved, or have other people that are already doing this involved to help us. So that's why we are here, and we are the No Sugar Bros, trying to figure this all out. So
I think Jack nailed a good point. It's the area I want to reach. I think I've done myself a lot of damage by always looking for these extremes. And Jack brought up the point of looking for a good way to do it in a sensible moderation. If I reach keto or fasting, I want to do a few days at a time with the fasting, or if I do keto, I kind of want to do the higher carb level keto, where I'm allowed a few things, but not so much that it's just like, you can't do anything and everything. If you want to do real keto, you almost have to be a carnivore. And I get sick of eating meat. I like some greens and maybe just a little bit of starch in my life, but I want to take this methodically and correctly instead of diving into extremes. That's just my take. Other people may function better, going, nose diving all the way in, but I don't know. I've been doing that for so many years, and it's just like, I only get worse as a result, so I don't know.
When we do this 30-day thing, what do you think, guys? Should we go like 100%, like not even have ketchup that has sugar in it, or just stay off the candy bars, sodas, and things that we know for sure have sugar in it? What do you want to do for this first 30 days?
Well, personally for me, I was thinking about that when we were talking about this podcast earlier. I had dinner after that, and I guess the only thing that I had with sugar in it today was I had a little bit of a lemon, or a whole lemon actually. And the main reason I had that was for the vitamin C. And so I guess the reason I'm saying that is I'm not going to be like, natural, a little bit of natural sugar is basically the route that I'm going to go. But what I'm going to stick away from is the stuff that has, added sugar and processed sugar, because for me, that's where I can really start getting into some trouble, and like those old addictive behaviors start coming back in. Oh, if I buy a pack of candy bars or something like that, I can't just moderate that to one. It's like,
No,
hey,
Nope.
we'll got the whole pack. We'll get back on it tomorrow. So
it's
part of
always
my
tomorrow. Yeah,
it's
it's
always
always.
tomorrow. And so for me, just eliminating the 99.5% of it. So if I have a little bit of if there's a little bit of natural sugar in a fruit or something like that, I'm not going to stress out about that. But I'm not going to go personally for me and go and add a bunch of sugar in it. And like if I do have, I don't have ketchup that often, but if I were to have ketchup, I'd probably get the one with no sugar added. So I'd like to take a moderate approach for myself.
I think I'm on the exact same page. That's exactly what I want to do.
Me too. How about like canned fruit? Are we going to stay away from canned fruit?
Yeah.
That, I mean, that has added sugar. I mean, it's not just regular fruit. So
Well, there you go. You just answered your question. Added sugar, I think is a no-go. They put that syrupy stuff in there, and
I got some of those little tiny ones that have no sugar. It has the monk fruit and stuff in it that's sweetened that way, but no sugar. So
I suppose that'd be okay, but
I don't know.
I'm not too familiar with it. I guess for me, I think I'm going to stick to just because this is what I do best with, is more of like a natural food. So I eat like a pretty meat heavy diet just as it is, and then I'll have some like vegetables and rarely some fruit. But yeah, I don't know much about it though. The canned fruit.
No,
how
it's just a little bit of a canned fruit for the kids that has no sugar in it. It has the monk fruit and the erythritol and stuff like that.
I think if you how much do you have left, just eat a cup a day until they're gone, or if it sits there and it nags at you, just eat a cup a day till they're gone, or if there's only a
No,
couple left.
they're actually the kids', so I'm not going to eat them. It's just
Oh, if it's there, do you get
what
okay?
can we eat? I mean, so
Oh,
far,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, because this last month I've been pretty much sugar free and I haven't had any problems.
I pretty much have too, and that's why going into this challenge, it doesn't seem that hard. And I think if we define moderate terms as a start, we can do as many 30-day variations as we want. Say, hey, we got through this processed sugar 30 days, and then a month from now we go, okay, let's go a little bit more extreme. And this might be really exciting to do coming up on the holiday, because this is going to be where all the real challenges happen. How are we going to integrate what we're doing with the family? How do we do that without affecting the atmosphere? If you got family with kids and wife, they want to make you the sweet treats, and it's only one. And
there's a lot of sugar-free options out there. I wouldn't mind going for the sugar-free options during the holidays, but after the holidays, I don't want to eat any of the sugar-free options. Like, no, I don't want to eat the sugar-free cookies or the sugar-free, stuff that has, that's not real. I'm like Jack. I like the heavier meat / vegetables.
I think the ultimate goal, the end goal, is just to, like Jack said, is to eat natural foods, and if you're going to have carbs and stuff, fruits, potatoes, rice, try to maybe even, almost like a bodybuilder's diet, but I don't know about, you just have to be careful with taking liberties on cheat days, even if people like us can even have a cheat day. I don't know.
Well, I think for 30 days we just need to go completely sugar free and not have cheat days. I think cheat days is what gives us the I'll start tomorrow. How about the next day?
I agree.
So I think that I really would like to go sugar free for a year again. I lost a lot of weight and it was effortless weight loss because I went from sugar free to keto. Once I was on keto, man, I could eat and I just kept on losing weight and I felt so good. So I think that's what I want to do also.
Although we just want to do the progression and start off with this really moderate, light, let's just try to find where we can take sugar out, identify where we're eating sugar, and just do the best we can the first 30 days.
Yeah, because withdrawals are awful. I mean, if we're going to start this, I believe that there'll be a lot of people that want to start to do something like this. So if we start to do this very moderately, it's like, hey, we're still going to eat whatever we want to, but we're going to use the sugar-free options and stay away from our candy bars and stuff. Like, if there's going to be somebody wants a pie, there's sugar-free pies, there's sugar-free cakes, there's sugar-free candies. There's no reason why we have to go and eat actual sugar during this first 30 days, and then get a little bit more restrictor as we go, because we're getting more and more fat adaptive. What do y'all think?
I'm curious, and you and I know what we think about a lot of things, but I'm curious, Jack, what you think about sugar-free options. Sugar-free options often have a lot of carbs in them. Are they a gateway back to the real deal for you, or how do you feel about those?
Yeah, so for me, I like to think that I'm not unique in this, because I know that I'm not, and I know a ton of other people that experience, the food addiction. But for me, what really helped was coming to terms with my issues with eating. We talked about being very addicted to these foods. So for me, if I have just a little bit of something, that for me, it's all in my mind. The sugar thing, the physical part of it's real, but for me, the biggest part is in my mind, because I know that addiction is a brain disorder. And if I were to have, just a little bit of something to give myself, it's like giving myself permission to go and eat more, and then I'm just like, I get all Debbie Downer and say, oh man, I messed it up for today. And now tomorrow's looking a lot better. And then it rolls over to the morning. And I know that once I eat a bunch of sugar, especially at night, I wake up really hungry in the morning, and I'm not satiated at all. And that's why I love, especially like keto, but heavy meat, because that's a very satiating food for me. So I think one of the things I like most about what we're doing here is we're setting ourselves up for success here. And we've all tried starting and stopping diets many times, and obviously nothing has worked. And I'm looking to create more of a lifestyle change, because I don't want to just like binge and just eat something, so strict and just, absolutely no sugar, because I know that from past experience just last year that I start craving it. And I'm like, man, I've been doing really good for 60 days. I'm giving myself a little permission here. So on Thanksgiving, I'm like, okay, go out and have a great big dinner, have the, vanilla ice cream with sugar, have the pumpkin pie or apple pie or whatever it may be. And then I go home that night, and I'm just, from all the carbs and all the sugar, I'm still hungry. So I eat a little bit more, and then I feel horrible about myself the next day. And I'm like, we're going into a long weekend here. So I'm just gonna, Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm just gonna eat a little bit more. And then Monday, I'm gonna start back up. And so for me, my problem has been almost restricting too much, and just being a little bit too hard on myself. That's why I'm attracted to the kind of sensible, intuitive approach. Sorry, my dog keeps trying to jump on
bring him in. He's good.
Yeah, but so in another aspect of it, I think we see it a lot with women going to support groups and stuff like that for food, or at least I've seen that online, because I'm sure we've all done our fair share of research online about food. But for men, I don't see it as much. So I think the accountability aspect of it, knowing that we've all kind of made this pact and we're all accountable to each other, it's going to help me out as well. But for as far as the processed foods, I'm personally going to stick away from them, because for me it's a slippery slope. So, but I'm gonna try to be a little bit sensible about it as well. So if I want to have something with a little bit of sugar is in the form of a whole food, I'm not going to beat myself up over that. But I'm not going to go and have something with 16 added grams of sugar, like this this sauce I'm gonna throw away, this Panda Express sauce that I had like for like teriyaki chicken or something like that. Like I'm not gonna go and have that. But to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
How are you gonna do this, Brian? I know that your wife cooks.
I right now I've already kind of been on this since, I don't know, for about 2 weeks. I've kind of gotten over the major sugar addiction hump. I've largely been away from it, but everything else I've been eating, fries, chips, and things like that. So my approach is just to get a little bit tighter on those things. Maybe eat my burger without a bun, put the chips away, maybe eat some fruit or maybe some celery or something instead, you know. And I know it's not going to be as enjoyable, but the whole point is to, you know, play a little bit of the moderation game and start, you know, elevating a little bit. So that's why I guess the next 30 days, you know, I'm going to swap the ketchups. You know, my family's not on this, and I don't want to, every time I'm doing something, you know, get them on the wagon. So I'm going to leave whatever's in there. I don't have a problem with that. But I'll get for myself a sugar-free barbecue sauce and a sugar-free ketchup and things like that, just to elevate my game a little bit.
That sounds
What about you,
good.
Sean?
I already have the no sugar added ketchup. I already have no sugar added barbecue or the sugar-free barbecue. And I have a lot of sugar-free options. My wife is perfectly fine with the sugar-free option. She doesn't need the full sugar thing, and she actually wants to lose some weight too. She doesn't want to go on this diet with me, no sugar diet, so that's perfectly fine. Every once in a while, I mean, I'm the one that cooks in the house, so you know, if I cook, it's usually something real, like real meat and real veggies. I don't do box things, but if I'm not here, I'm doing something else, then she'll usually do a box thing or order pizza, you know, get some chicken or from Chicken Express or something like that. I'm perfectly fine with staying off of sugar, like 100% sugar. Like I'm not going to grab a Coke. I'm not going to grab an ice cream or a candy bar, even if it's a little miniature ones. I don't want any of that type of sugar in my diet because that is where everything starts for me. A little bit here, then it's a little bit more. The next day I feel like, oh crap, I really messed up. Oh, here's some things that are really interesting. After I eat sugar, I am so exhausted. Not only do I yawn almost all the time, but I'm just exhausted. I feel like I need to sleep. I actually sleep later and longer than I normally do. I feel like I need more sleep, and I just my brain fogs. Oh, and my eyesight. Very interesting. After I eat sugar, when I'm driving, I notice that everything is a little bit blurrier than normal. Not horrible, but noticeable. After you guys eat sugar, do you have anything like that? Does something like that happen to you as far as like being really tired? Or maybe you notice that you can't see as well, you get some blurred vision?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Brian. Go. Okay. Yeah, for me, I've noticed some other physical side effects as well. I do get the blurry vision. I definitely need to sleep more. Um, but I'll never forget, you know, like, so I never realized how bad it was because I was essentially in the throes of my addiction, but I like to play golf. And so I was at the driving range, you know, sometime in the summer last year. And I noticed that, you know, I was very jittery all the time. My mood was very unstable. I would usually get very irritable and discontent, angry a lot of the time. You know, even if I had just eaten sugar, or whether I had just eaten it or, you know, it was 6 hours ago, I would always feel like that because my blood sugar was elevated so high for so long. And I'm pretty sure I was pre-diabetic. I didn't get my keto mojo meter until after that to measure it. But for me, and then like this, a similar situation, but I had started the keto diet and zero sugar at this point. More importantly, zero sugar. I was at the driving range mid-October, late October, and like I felt very zen almost. You know, I just had this very calm, very like steady hands, stuff like that. So for me, that's another hope that I have with going to zero sugar again, is just kind of getting back to that more even keel state, and you know, having less ups and downs, and just be more even keel. What about you, Brian?
All the physical stuff I totally agree with. I have the same issues. But additionally, psychologically, I've been dealing with severe depression my whole life. And here recently, as I've been experimenting with taking out sugar out of my diet over the last 3 or 4 years, I've noticed a direct correlation to sugar and my depression. As I peel away from, I always feel like I've said my whole life, my wife can attest to this. I've said this a whole bunch of times. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I should be depressed. I feel like depression is choosing me. Like it's almost like having cancer, you know, it's just in you and it makes you not feel your full best or your full, you know, what you're supposed to feel like. And as a result, it's a massive ambition killer. I'm an extremely ambitious person. In my head, I should look like Arnold and be a billionaire by now because that's how my mind works. That's just, I'm always hungry for ambitious things. But I have become the complete opposite of all the ambitions that have been in my head my whole life. And it's almost like I feel like I've got like a demon sitting on me or something, and it just bogs me down. And I'm starting to really conclude that sugar has been a huge part of that. It makes you just want to sit on the couch and watch TV and zone out and do nothing and not fool with anything or anybody. And then you get so depressed, then it feeds on itself because then you don't get anything done. You don't work on your ambitions. And then you get pissed off at yourself because you didn't do that, and it feeds on itself and it feeds on yourself. And I've been suicidal a few times, and not completely, you know, I don't think I'm probably too cowardly to, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm not gutsy enough to do something like that. And I never would want to do something like that, but that's how horrible I feel mentally. And there's no reason for it. You know, I'm not where I want to be in life, but I also know that I'm blessed. I'm here in this country and all this kind of stuff. But you get so depressed, you can't connect. You know, you can't balance it out. You just feel awful. And then the only way to fix it is to go reach for sugar, reach for ice cream, reach for cheeseburger and fries. And then you get about a 30-minute to an hour satisfaction bomb. And you're like, oh, you know, and then Sean and I coined this kind of term of, we always do this thing, farewell meal. We always talk about these ambitions about losing weight and starting a business, doing all this stuff, but we always have to talk about it over this farewell meal when we feel so awesome and satisfied, and you just had the caffeine and the sugar and the pizza and all this crap, and you feel awesome that I can start this Monday, and until Monday hits, and then you just feel like a piece of trash, and you know, you feel so awful you can't do anything. You can barely get out of bed because the only way to elevate yourself back up is the same crap that made you feel awesome the previous day. And then if you really push through it, then it's the most awful 6 or 7 days of your life every single time. It really mirrors. I have had friends on opiate addictions. It's obviously a more mild version of it. I'm not going to compare the two as far as intensity, but it still has all the same tenets to it. The headaches, the lack of motivation, the pain, the body pain. You get off sugar, I get pain course throughout my whole body. Inflammation and stuff like that. So, but for me, the most profound thing is the psychological thing. I've been off sugar for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, mostly off sugar. And I tell you what, I feel pretty awesome. I almost feel like kind of like what you were talking about. I'm zen, I'm in the zone. If I was fully into sugar and I was trying to do this podcast to start doing this from day one, I don't think I'd have the motivation to do it. I don't think I'd be here right now. I'd get to 9 p.m. and I'd be tired and I'd be like, you know, so unmotivated. But because I've already largely been doing it for a couple of weeks, I feel so much. Every day has just been better and better and better. So I'm eager to elevate that and continue and add to it and see if I can feel even better.
I was wondering if you guys had some other things. I was writing this down while you guys were talking. It feels like, I mean, not at the time, but at night, it feels like I am slightly drunk off the sugar, like the sugar ferments inside me. And I feel, you know, kind of like I'm slightly drunk because at night, I tend to eat things that I normally wouldn't. I buy things that I shouldn't on television. And, you know, my mood's a little bit, I feel like I'm pissed off more, you know. And here's another symptom too, is when I eat a lot of sugar, I feel like I have arthritis. As soon as I get off of the sugar,
Big time.
almost arthritis goes completely away. And I have lots of energy. But the only reason why I feel like I was drunk at night, because when I wake up in the morning, I'm very clear-headed because of that 8 hours of sleeping, that 8 hours of fasting. And I'm like, why did I order that stuff last night? Why did I do the things that I did? Why did I say those things? It's like the only reason why I would have done that is if I was drinking. I wasn't drinking. Do you guys have any similar withdrawal symptoms?
Yeah, definitely for me, you know, so Brian was talking a little bit about the comparison with like opioid kind of withdrawals. And so that's, just kind of fair warning that that's part of my story. I was addicted to opioids for good 5 to 7 years. That was my main, drug of choice, if you will. And I did a little bit of research on this as well. And they say that sugar as a chemical, it kind of attacks the same receptors in your brain as like cocaine. So, and I know that from my experience, whether it's sugar or whether it's, opioids or alcohol or whatever it is, when I have that stuff in my system, I'm not thinking clearly. And that's why, like, so I kind of started this no sugar thing a couple days ago. Probably been about 48 hours now since I've had any like real sugar. Just kind of by happenstance, the timing worked out with you guys, but I know for me, when I woke up today, I was way more clear headed, whether it's 8 hours, 24 hours, like the further I get away from that chemical kind of impairing my judgment or impairing my thought process, whatever it may be, the better I feel. And so I commend you, Brian, on, already being a couple weeks into this, whatever it may be. And because um, and just like, other substances as well, um, I can definitely say, and you guys can probably attest to this, the first 3 days, 7 days, 2 weeks are the hardest for me, just to get that initial crap out of my body. We were talking about the keto flu a little while ago. One thing that I found that helps me with that, I've done a little research, is just keep my electrolytes up. So I have like a potassium powder that I take that I mix with water that doesn't have any sugar in it or anything like that. But and then I try to take a magnesium supplement, especially if I know that I'm not getting as much of those key minerals and nutrients from my food. That helps me out a little bit, and then salt as well. But yeah, I definitely experience a lot of withdrawal symptoms from sugar, and the longer that I'm off of it, the better that I feel.
Hmm.
The longer I'm off of sugar, and when I am fat adaptive, I do not know why, but I have all sorts of cravings for salts like pickles and olives. And recently I've been craving hot sauce, and I'm not a hot sauce guy. I don't even like pepper because it's too hot. Now I'm like putting, just tons of hot sauce on my food. Have you guys had anything like that as far as like once you're off of sugar, do you have other weird cravings that pop up?
I'm not real bad. I always just want sugar, but varying intensities. But that is interesting. You both bringing up the desire or need for salt, and I hadn't considered that. And I'm gonna next time I go stringently keto or fasting, I'm gonna try that. My friend from the UK did mention that as well, because he's an experienced faster. He said you got to get your electrolytes up. So there's more voice of confirmation on that. But no, I don't really have. I know when I was vegan raw, I craved salt real bad. I as a cheat, I would eat corn chips. It was the only thing I allowed myself to not go insane, because we always have corn chips in the pantry, and I would eat just a small handful of on the border corn chips, and I ate a few, and it satiated that salt. Of course, I got my sugar from fruits and stuff, but it's definitely not the same. But yeah, I crave salt then, but I'm not really craving it right now because I'm not really restricting myself on anything else. I'm already eating chips. That may be why I'm not really craving it that bad, because I'm already eating a lot of salt. So if I start really getting down to more natural foods, that will probably increase, I'm sure.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left of our podcast. We know what we want to do. We want to go sugar free. What we need to do is figure out where we are right now and what our our goals for in 30 days. What do we expect in 30 days? Now, just in case y'all didn't know, we do have www.nosugarbros.com, and that goes to our Facebook group, and we're starting that. And what we can do there is we can actually post a picture of us now, our weight, and our body fat if we're able to. I have a scale that lets me, do all that. And let's see what we look like in 30 days just by taking sugar out of our diet. I don't plan on doing any exercises. I'm a paramotor pilot. The exercise that I do is running, getting up in the air and flying. Jack is also a paramotor pilot. Are you a paramotor pilot, right? Yeah,
Yep.
you're a paramotor pilot for about a year, right?
Yep. Not
And-
as not many hours, but yeah, I'm a pilot.
Okay, so in case you didn't know, a paramotor is a big parachute, and we have a fan like on our back on a backpack, and that takes us, and we can fly around. We can fly around for a couple of hours, legally up to 18,000 feet, but most of us don't. We just go slow and low, and that's our exercise. I mean, that's my exercise. I don't want to do anything else. Brian, are you planning on doing any exercises, or you just plan on doing the no sugar thing? What are your plans?
I want to go into that for just a second because I want to pick people's brain about this. I don't know where it comes from and I don't know why it is, but I have an extremely serious dysfunction when it comes to exercise. I don't want to look like Arnold. I always just use that as a generic picture in your mind, but I do want to be well built. Because I know I'm 40. Sorry, can't talk. I'm almost 42. I know once I lose this weight, I've been fat so long that I'm just going to be a thin, saggy piece of crap. I'm not going to look good because I've got major chest fat issues, and I've got a pretty big waist. So, and you got to realize I'm only 5'9" with a smaller bone frame. So when I say I'm 240, I don't carry it well. I'm 52% body fat, which is massive. So I'm the same as a lot of other guys that are like close to 6 foot. Them being 300 pounds, that's about where I'm at my frame and size. So I know that when I lose all this weight, I'm going to be very saggy. So I have this big desire to build muscle, but I'm having the hardest time doing it. I want to work out. I want to run. I want to do calisthenics. I just bought a bunch of stupid crap for my garage so I wouldn't have any excuses. I bought a weight rack and a bench and weights and the bar and the whole thing. I've lifted off and on my whole life. I know how to do it, but I don't know. I guess I've had so many day ones that I'm sick of day one. It's become a huge block in my head, and I just fear and dread it, and I can't explain it. I don't know. But yeah, that's my plan. I don't do the paramotor. I don't run with the parachute, and I see how extremely vigorous that is. So I don't have that. But what I do have is I work 4 days a week at my job, and they pay us 1 hour a day that we could go work out if we want to, because I work on a military base. So I'm not in the military, but I'm a civilian on the military base, and they allow everybody there to work out for an hour at the end of the day if they want. I just don't do it because I have this mental block. So
you'd rather work than go
I don't work
out?
either. I just goof off. But I walk. I'll go walk the track or something, because I got to do something. But it's not really producing much. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a weird thing. I don't know if sugar's done that, or the years of starting and stopping diets has just become such a screw up in my head that I can't stand the thought of it anymore.
Yeah, that's part of our withdrawal.
Maybe it's crazy because in every area of my life, as I get off sugar, I'm feeling awesome. I'm ready and I'm energetic. But the second I think about hitting the weights, you think, being a man and getting that GER feeling and feeling all that awesome energy as you come off this stuff and you're feeling great. But when I think about the weights or doing push-ups or anything, I just melt back down into like, I don't want to do anything. I wish I could get over that dysfunction because I've had this stuff in my garage for 3 months now. Every day I think about it. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to do this. I'll do it after I get home from work. I don't get it. I don't get why it's such a block in my head. So I'm just gonna have to get over it.
You like to walk though, right? I mean, you got a walking trail behind your house.
Well, I struggle with that too. I do it at work because it's free.
Gotcha.
But as soon as I get home, I guess my home is just really comfortable. I don't know.
a lot of sugar cues in the house to kick back and relax and eat sugar. Yeah.
I think I have a lot on my plate. I have a lot of debt and I have a lot of other life issues going on. That stress is always playing in the foreground or background of my mind. And so, you know, I have done a lot of damage to my body, and sugar, coming off sugar and just sugar, all the arthritis feeling and all that crap. You know, I just know that it's a lot more painful to start working out at my age and my condition than it was 20 years ago when I didn't have all this baggage and damage. So I think that's part of the fear mechanism too, is that, man, it hurts. It hurts really bad. It's not that good hurt that you felt when you were 20. It's that, oh crap, I'm old.
I wonder as we go along and we stay off of sugar, if we'll be more motivated to work out. I mean, I have no desire whatsoever to work out at all. Brian definitely has no desire to work out. Jack, other than doing paramotors?
Yeah. So, I referee hockey. That's kind of my side gig. So I'm skating. They just opened, I live up here in Michigan, so they just opened up the rinks, and I'm my first day back is on Sunday night. But you know, that's a good form of exercise for me. You know, having a dog, I walk him quite a bit. So and then, you know, being physically active at work, I work in a warehouse right now. And you know, on a day that I work, I'm walking in between 15 and 20,000 steps a day just by working really and walking my dog. So I don't look at it as, you know, if I go into it, or reffing. So if I go into it looking, you know, from the mindset like, oh, I got to go work out, you know, I don't do well. I think just like Brian was saying, it's like that mental block for me, you know. So like, I'm not going to be going, like, over the next 30 days, I'm not going to be going to the gym and going and lifting weights and stuff like that, because for me, I need to approach this with, I need to make one small step at a time. But you know, one of the big things, you know, we're talking about the psychological aspect of it, and for me, I know that like the sugar, when I overindulge in sugar, there's a physical aspect of it to it, but like that's just a symptom of the underlying problem. That's what I'm using to try to self-medicate whatever's going on in my life. So, you know, I've also got, you know, issues going on sometimes at home where, you know, I come home and, you know, it's a bad day. I don't really want to take my dog out for a walk, or I said something that I shouldn't to a coworker or a friend. And instead of addressing that with the person or whatever the situation may be, I like to turn to, you know, chemical substances. And a lot of it, you know, for the last 6 years, that's been in the form of sugar. So, you know, for me, one thing that has helped me is just trying to be honest with myself about what my true problems are. So like, if, you know, like going to work, if I'm having a bad day or something like that, and there's an underlying issue there that I can correct, you know, if I was mean to somebody, I can go and apologize to that person and put my ego aside, because otherwise that eats away at me, no pun intended. And then I'll go and, you know, eat my feelings away. So, you know, but I know I got a little off track there, but for, you know, the workout thing, I'm going to kind of take it a little bit slow, keep my daily routine the same, and try to maximize the possibility I'll have for success with this.
I'm glad you got off track, because you said that beautifully. That connects everything. Eating solves bad days, and it hides you from bad situations. It replaces the confrontation with good feelings. Of course, it's artificial, but I'm glad you said that, because that's such a big part of it.
It really is.
That's definitely my trigger. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too, because now that I'm off sugar and I don't have that scapegoat, I'm on YouTube. I'm not very big yet. I just got a few followers or whatever, but I had a real bad day the other day, and I made this 2 days ago, and I made this pathetic pity video. I'm gonna get off YouTube for this year. I can't handle it. Blah, blah, blah. I was just, you know, I was feeling sorry for myself.
Were you full of sugar at the time?
No. It was other issues. It was issues I was having throughout the day that sugar couldn't fix. I didn't have an event. Do you see what I'm saying? So
okay, yeah.
So I was just I was just like, screw this, I just feel so bad. And, I committed to making YouTube videos every day. But then I had a comment on there saying, hey man, you said you're going to do this thing for a long time. You're going to post every day. So just scale back for a day or two, recollect yourself, something along those lines. It was real common sense, logical thinking, I'm like, yeah. And so I decided that because I don't have the sugar out anymore, I'm just going to have to confront the problem. So I just decided to, I'm going to have to deal with these feelings somehow without hiding them. So I just decided to make another video. I decided to carry on the rest of my day. I was going to hide the fact that I wasn't feeling good. And I was going to be nice to everybody despite how I felt. And as an effect, the more I practiced that, the more I got out of it. And then the next day I made a video saying, you know what? I just got to keep going. I just got to make the video whether I feel like crap. And then I decided that the way to get through this, the way to get through this next 30 days of what we're doing and anything else we're doing, the success lies in the bad days. Are we going to continue on with our plan and our ambition only on the good days? Because then we'll fail. We have the most important part of success in any area of life is pressing through the hard days. Those are the ones that define whether you're really committed to what you're doing. And so that's where I'm at now. I cannot hide my pain and my problems and my depression and my bad days with eating and eating sugar and whatever. I've got to confront those issues and move on, move forward. So.
Well said.
Very well said. So sounds like we know what we want to do. We want to stay off of sugar. We're not going to eat anything that directly has sugar. We don't have any desire right now to do any exercise. Tomorrow when we wake up, how about we weigh ourselves, check our measurements and stuff, and put it on our nosugarbros.com Facebook page, the group page. And every week when we do this, which will be from now on, it'll be Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Did I say that right, guys? I think so.
Yep.
I think I did. And that's going to be our podcast. So this is our very first podcast. We're talking about what we're doing, how we're going to do it. Tomorrow, I think we might be able to interview somebody that is a professional, and that'll be really neat. So if you guys can come on, that'd be awesome. I'll let you know when that time is, and we'll also stream it live. And then Sunday will be our first official day, but that'll be podcast 3 already, episode 3. How about that? If you guys know anybody that wants to join us, please let us know. You can contact me at Sean Simons, that's my name, at gmail.com. Let me know that you would like to be on here. You can go to nosugarbros.com or No Sugar Bros Facebook page. Let us know that you would like to be on or like to talk about this. Contact Brian or Jack or myself on Facebook or YouTube, or I don't know. How do we get up with you, Jack? What's your social media places?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page. Not sure if it's set to private or not, but I think you can find me just under Jack Wallace. Yeah, that's the only social media I have, really. I have a Snapchat account that I rarely ever use, and I refuse to get Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. probably should, but well, yep.
No, I think you're doing the right thing. I don't think you should.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. I'm always trying to get rid of stuff, but yeah.
How about you, Brian? How do we get up with you?
I'm on Facebook too. You're welcome to message me. I'm also on YouTube. My channel is called Make You Great Again.
What is that about? It sounds pretty awesome. Sounds very positive.
I'm not necessarily political, but that's been the running slogan for the last 4 years. And my thought on it is, we're always talking about making America great, and well, how do you make America great? And that's when the individual, every individual decides to improve themselves and make themselves great. Collectively, that's how we make a better country. So that was kind of my thought behind it, and that's the premise I operate on. I'm working on financial goals and physical goals just to improve myself and elevate myself, because if I can get myself out of this mess and improve myself, then I will have more of myself to contribute and help other people. And I think that's ultimately how you make everything better. So
you gotta love yourself.
Kind of cheesy, but
people, right? No,
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
gotta love yourself before you love other people. You gotta understand how to do weight loss before you teach other people. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And of course, Jack and Brian, you guys are welcome to be on here every single time that we go live. We'll keep you up to date in our No Sugar Bros private chat. If you are listening to us and would like more information, please go find us on Facebook, No Sugar Bros, and let us know that you would like to jump on or ask us questions. We appreciate you very much, and we will see you maybe tomorrow night.
All right, great. I appreciate you guys.
Peace out. Y'all stay here. I'm just going to stop the live stream.
Okay.